Hello everyone, this is a little bit of a talky talk session here, but I'm going to keep it quick. One of the questions that I get all the time is about flight times. And my flight times are generally lower, I think, than what you find in other reviews and other places, and that has to do with how I fly. My style, how I like to fly, the enjoyment that I get from flying like I do, tends to be very hard on the batteries. I'm running a lot of 180-degree turns. At the very least, I'm doing multiples of those. Sometimes I'll do like a figure eight around the two trees in the middle of the yard, and that's terrible on the batteries. And then I'll do a punch out, and I'll come down and do a catch and circle around a bunch more, and then another punch out or something like that. So generally speaking, because of the fact that I fly at about 45 degrees camera tilt, which if I can line this up with the camera, so this is, I measured this earlier via Betaflight, but this is the angle that I'm generally flying at when I'm flat. So when you see me going around trees and corners and we see less of the distance, then I'm getting even more tilt as I go around. Of course, sometimes I probably come down into here when I have the horizon or the ground kind of in the lower part of the U, but this is generally going to be the angle at which I fly. And then when I'm doing the dives, if I'm coming straight down, I'm actually a little bit inverted when I do that as well. But you shouldn't judge necessarily my flight videos by the flight time that you'll get unless you fly at the same angle, doing the same amount of turns, at the same altitude. I'm not high, I'm at sea level. But if you're higher or lower than that, it could affect your flight times. Humidity, all those environmental factors will vary. So if I get a 2-minute flight time, you might think, well, that's awful low. But unless you've been flying for a couple of years like I have and you tend to fly, then this way, your flight time will probably be a lot higher. And that's a good thing for you. If you're an experienced pilot, I hope that you see that in the video that my flight style might be different from yours, so therefore your flight time will actually be different from mine. And it might be less. You know, some people like Tom Smith, Vic Lanning, those guys who really, they call them stick slammers, but I mean, they really go hard and they do a lot of big moves. I don't know if that kind of flying is harder on batteries or not, but I get many reports back from other pilots that are people that seem to be fairly accomplished in the micro arena that have told me that I'm really hard on batteries and therefore I'm hard on flight time. So instead of trying to type all this out in the question that I get all the time about flight times, I thought I would put together this short video that hopefully kind of, I don't want it to sound egotistical, but it's not like, you know, I fly faster than you or something like that. I just want people to know why my flight times might be less than they're expecting. Of course, sometimes I go for higher kV motors because I like that big top end. You may not want that. So if you're building something like, well, like this, I've been flying this around for, I don't know, I think I got this last summer. Where I built this last summer. This is it's an Atlas 130. It's a cheap Banggood frame. Its cameras sticking out. I've actually broke 1 or 2 cameras. Some really old 1406 Sunny Sky 40,000 kV motors. This thing's been a tank for me, and I've had a lot of fun with it. But my flight times are generally, I use a 450 battery on this to keep it real light so I can fly it the way I want to fly it. But my flight times generally are probably, I would say, a good 30 to 40 seconds less than most other people, because I don't think most people fly in the confines of their own backyard. I think most of you are probably flying in larger spaces to where you're not so low to the ground, so you can do the big moves where you punch out and you float, because that allows the battery to recover as you float, versus if I'm just constantly going around on the ground and then I just kill some amps by hitting the throttle and flying over the house a time or two. That's just how I fly. I want those things to be out in the open so that people who, whether you've been around the hobby for a long time and it's second nature to you to see that, or if you're just getting started, I didn't want anybody to be confused, and I don't think I've done a very good job in the comment section of conveying that information to those typed messages. So, short video on flight times. Please don't judge yours by mine. I hope that you get the flight times out of all your equipment that you're looking for. Of course, if you're looking for really long flights, I think Albert's doing a series of videos on high efficiency motors. That's something you probably won't see here. It's just not something I'm interested in. I like to fly the way I like to fly. I don't like to fly for 7 minutes, 8 minutes at a time. That's just not my enjoyment. Matter of fact, I don't think I could keep my focus to fly the way I like to fly for that amount of time. Matter of fact, if I think back of doing the Baby Hawk, the Baby Hawk R, the 3-inch edition, and running it, was it 3S that had the crazy long runtime? It's 3S or 4S had the crazy long runtime. I think it was like a 4.5 minute flight. You know, that's really pushing it for me. We've had a few indoor quads too, and getting over 3 minutes is really pushing it for me. My goal is to fly for 2 minutes and 20 seconds to 2 minutes and 30 seconds the way I want. And then the battery, you know, kind of gives up the ghost. Maybe we get a low battery warning around the minute 45 or 2 minute mark, so I don't have to baby it. So that's my goal. I just wanted to give you guys some additional information that you can use to possibly judge some of the product reviews that I do and their flight times. I think I tend to cover it, but I don't think I mention it every time, because I feel like if you watch all these videos, you probably get tired of the same sort of message being said about flight times or flight experience or flight environments. So I just thought I should cover it here. If I have one of those comments about flight times, I'll probably point to this video, and I'm not doing that to create extra ad revenue. I just think this is a better format than trying to type it out. I don't think it's worked very well up to date. Okay, if you have any questions about my flight time, shoot them at me. I'll do my best to try to answer them in the typed format. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.